Arkansas passed a similar religious protection bill, and the CEO of Walmart is urging Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson to veto it. But Hutchinson says he's going to sign it. Governor, do you believe that Mike Pence is a bigot? I thought he said that in that statement.
Yeah, I think he's done bigoted things. Listen, you know, at the top of the show here, or this section, he talked about how tough the last few days have been. Imagine if you were gay in Indiana over the last month. On February 23rd, in a debate at the state Senate, an offer was made to amend this statute that said simply that we would respect our civil rights laws as they exist in Indiana, and we would respect local laws as they exist in Indiana. That amendment, offered by a Democrat, lost 40-10. Imagine if you were a gay man or a gay woman, or if you were the mother or father of a gay man or a gay woman. Imagine how tough your month has been, not just the last couple of days, since that disastrous show that he did on Sunday, since the disastrous legislation that he signed. You know, when you do a bigoted thing, you're going to get called out on it. And quite frankly, Republicans have not covered themselves in any glory. We have a whole bunch of candidates for president who've gone to defend this guy, but now he said, well, maybe we do need to clarify it. Well, hey, Jeb Bush, what were you thinking about? Cruz, what were you thinking about? Rubio, what were you thinking about? Do you really want to condemn gay people to second-class citizenship in America today, this year?
Michael?
I cannot disagree with the governor more. He just needs to bring the crazy down a little bit on this. I think the hyperbole, calling people bigoted, when you know that that's not the case. I think the governor stated very clearly.
I'm going to stop you right there.
You're going to let me finish. You're going to let me finish my point.
When you walk like a duck and you quack like a duck,
excuse me, sir. I let you do your rant. I let you do your rant uninterrupted. Then you're going to let me bring some clarity and common sense to the conversation. The reality of it is that there's nothing bigoted in this law. There's nothing bigoted about the governor who signed this law, and there's nothing discriminatory about this law. This law is based on past, present federal law. 31 states have it. The difference between what Bill Clinton signed and what the legislature signed today is now, because of Hobby Lobby, you have this corporate aspect of this, being corporations essentially being treated as people for under the protections. The governor the governor has promised a fix. Let's see what that fix is. I suspect that fix will either address either a non-discriminatory non-discrimination law, in which it makes very clear, as the governor stated today, that gay and lesbian individuals will not be discriminated under law in the state of Indiana, or something close to that.
Let me go back to some things that clarify. Governor, just a second. Governor, I have to moderate this. Number one, I watched the Sunday show with George Stephanopoulos. I thought he did a good job of getting it clear. The governor was asked by George at least once, would you support legislation to prevent people from being bigoted, to saying, if you're gay, you're not getting in my hotel. If you're not getting in my bakery, I'm not going to help you with their wedding.
Right.
And he said, no.
Right.
So he clarified his view. Even if the legislation's murky, he's clear on this. And I believe he said it again today. It's not on my agenda. Why isn't it?
Well, I don't know why it should be on this agenda, because this contributes to the noise around this bill and around this legislation.
But he may disagree with you on the issue. How do you know he does? How do you know he supports equal public accommodations access?
Pardon me?
Do you know if he supports equal access to public accommodations?
I'm sure he does.
Regardless of sexual orientation?
I'm sure he does.
But he won't say so.
I'm sure he does.
Well, Governor, I think you have a point. I don't know about calling him bigoted, whatever. He's clearly politically wanting to identify with that particular point of view. I mean, he's had an opportunity for a week to clarify himself.
I mean, you don't get to pick and choose.
Okay. Governor, isn't it true that a lot of states that have passed this have also got legislation protecting the rights of people regardless of their sexual identity or orientation? That's already on the books to protect them. That's not the case in Indiana. Your thoughts?
I think Mr. Steele is too good a person to be an apologist for this legislation. And clearly, if you read the history of this legislation and how it was attempted to be amended so that laws that were already in place would be applied. Indianapolis had already said we're not going to discriminate. Why would you pass a state law that trumps the local law? Why would you vote that amendment down 40-10? What senators on the Republican side did the governor governor actually called to say, hey, we've got to be fair and honest and treat our citizens equally? Give us a list of who you called,
let's get the answer to that question.
and tell us what they said.
That's a good question. Why I don't want to spend time. You guys are here live. I'm not going to play tape. But Rubio and Jeb Bush and Cruz and Walker, Governor Walker, have all said they're with this legislation that he signed this week that has been criticized as being anti-gay. But why are they all taking that position?
Because the law on its face is not. It's how you're deciding to interpret the law. Show me the language in this law where it sets out that says that we are going to discriminate against gay and lesbian individuals. That language isn't in the law. This is verbatim, except for, again, the Hobby Lobby.
Well, doesn't it give a business the opportunity to go to court and say, for our religion, the religion of our corporation,
and the law requires,
and we can go to court and say we're not going to serve people of this background.
Unlike the RFRA law in Connecticut, and the federal law and the Indiana law requires a substantial burden that be placed on the government to show
isn't access to public accommodations
that they have not
isn't that a compelling public interest? You got to believe in a compelling public interest for public accommodations.
Of course, there's a compelling public interest, Chris, but I'm just saying you're jumping to a conclusion that this law is discriminatory when, in fact, there's nothing in the law that says that.
Last word to the governor. Last word to the governor.
Where's the governor?
I have a copy of the amendment that was offered, and it simply said this chapter does not apply to Indiana civil rights law or any state law or local ordinance that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. And it was defeated in the Senate on February 23rd with the support of the governor, 40-10. That's evidence number one. I used to be a prosecutor. I tried 23 felony cases. I had convictions in 22. Let me assure you I could get a conviction in this one.
So how do you respond to that? That the governor had an opportunity to take a stand against discrimination and it shows the other side?
Because the governor's reading of this law and the legislative intent of the law was not to discriminate. So they didn't need to carve out that exception. Clearly, they now think that they do, and the governor's going to go back with the legislators, majority leaders both in the House and Senate have said they're going to redo the bill. So let's see what they do.
I think he's trying to score points for the people. I think he was trying. The governor of Indiana was trying to score points, as so many Republicans are trying to do with the hard right.
That's
he
cynical.
thought. Did you see who was standing there with him?
Nuns.
Yeah, and the ultra-Orthodox
stand with nuns,
because they're opposed to gay rights.
There you go.
Because that's why they're there. Thank you. If they're not, let me know. We'll have you on.
Well,
let me know. But all those people there, you're in that picture. Let me know. If you're up for public access to public accommodations on the part of gay people, let me know.